All right, there we go.
All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm really good.
For everybody that's not watching and only listening, introduce yourself fully so they all know exactly what Kristen we're talking to.
All right. I'm Kristen Scott, and I am an adult performer.
Hi. So you and I just finished up 2 pretty goddamn glorious days, I think. We did a Hogtied. Was it Hogtied? Yeah, it was a Hogtied for kink.com. Christmas themed silliness story. And then today we did a bondage fucking machine shoot. And then you were like, you know what? I have a little time. Let's hang out and talk some.
Oh, yeah.
So the way I got this kind of set up is we just talk, we shoot the shit. We just talk about whatever we want to talk about. And I just realized that my hat's on backwards and I probably look like a 12-year-old boy with a big gray beard. Look, you guys. So let's talk. What do you want to talk about? There's so much to talk about with you. And I know that we're limited on time because it sucks you got to leave.
Yeah.
Because as much as I joke about keeping her, they make me send her home. You do so many things. You're a musician. You are a porn performer. You are like a life journey person. I wouldn't say journeyman. See, I'm gender neutral. And those are just the things. You've recently embarked on like this new you kind of transformation that we started months ago. You've been working out recently, right?
Yeah.
And you're an actual like legit actress that does porn too. So there's all this stuff to talk about. And then there's other things I'm sure that I didn't bring up and mention. Those are just the fun accolades that I can talk about. So where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about?
I mean, I can talk about what I've been doing lately. I mean, I feel like as of late, I really turned a lot of my focus away from like shooting all the time, constantly having my schedule like booked out like crazy, to taking a lot of time for myself. And that's felt really good because I feel like my scenes, the quality of them have improved. I feel so much better when I'm on set. I have like more genuine chemistry with people, and it's just so much more enjoyable. And I also get time to like tend to myself. I think a lot of performers can get so caught up in the rush of the business because if you get a good workflow going, you want to keep it going, and it gets addicting to a certain point. And it got to a point where I sometimes would feel like, oh, if I wasn't working, 4+ days out of the week, I didn't feel like I was doing anything, and it was this weird anxiety that I would get, and it just really started to kind of fuck with my happiness. And I love what I do. I love porn. I love the genuine chemistry and connections I get to make with so many different people and getting to share it with everybody.
Right.
But I need to preserve my own stability and happiness more than anything. And I think that's a hard conversation to have for some people. I
think for most people it is.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter like what industry you're in. Everybody's going to have hard days. We all need to take time to like tend to ourselves in every, I don't know, facet of the word, whatever. Yeah.
And I think something that's kind of become lost, especially with the newer generation, with even like the younger people, and younger, like meaning not, I say younger, usually it's your age, not my age, but like younger, like kids.
Yeah.
But a lot of people I think have lost, or maybe never even learned the art of self-soothing.
Yes.
To just know how to handle you and to take care of you, and fuck off world, I need this for me right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of young children, I know with my kid, we run into it a lot where he doesn't know it, and we're trying to like, hey, you need to learn how to do this, because life's gonna suck the more you go on without knowing how to do it. But even older, like 20s, fuck, there's probably people my age, they're almost 50, that are like, wait a minute, you know how to fix yourself? But it's taking the time, it's recharging, it's knowing how to handle that, and telling, no, I've got too much on my plate. I need to take a breath. I need me time, and I need the whole world to just eat a dick right now.
Exactly. Honestly, that's one of the biggest things I've been focusing on lately is just boundaries with people. I have so many friends that I love dearly. I I have so many different like producers, directors, companies that I love to work with. But sometimes I get offers, or sometimes I get hit up to hang out with certain people, and like on camera, off camera, doesn't matter. People will request my time and my energy, and I just might not have the room for that. And I used to feel so obligated, like I really, really needed to always say yes, and I needed to give myself to everyone, because I'm very much a lover. I love to give as much as I can to the people in my life, and it was just really hard for me to juggle prioritizing myself with work, and being sucked into the whole shooting so many days out of the week and all that. And then one day I realized, I was like, oh my God, how I've canceled a couple of scenes like last minute within a period of time, and it was because I just mentally, emotionally was not fully there to do the scene, or maybe something else came up, and I got so stressed out that I was like, I can't fucking do this, and that was so hard for me to do, because I knew that I was letting people down, and I knew that I was letting myself down in a way too. And more than anything, I care about the collective, like everybody. I want everyone to be happy. So, but in order for everyone to be happy, I have to be happy.
Yep.
And that's just, I'm so grateful to have come to that conclusion finally.
At you're early in life doing that, because I'm just now coming to terms with, maybe I should tell everyone to fuck off and do my thing. So anybody I see, younger people, which is nice, because I'm around younger people all the time because of what I do. Yeah. And to see so many of the girls and guys even that are getting their shit together so much younger, and self-realizing and learning all of these things. And I'm like, fuck, maybe I should have started fucking on camera. Because there's, and the unfortunate part is, I feel that most of you are forced to have to do it, where the majority of the people outside of this industry, I should say, there's not as much pressure as fast as it comes with you guys, because you show up and you're like, okay, I think I want to do this thing, and you ease in and you put your toe in the water and you're like, ooh, I think that's comfortable. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're in it. Yeah. You're fucking neck deep and you are in it, and you went from being someone who had fill in the blank job to now you're celebrity. Yeah. Fuck. You've got social media following, you've got demands, you've got people wanting your time no matter what, and it's not just to show up on set and here's your paycheck and you go home. Well, now there's a party you need to attend, and there's this group that you need to go see, and I think that's what it is. I think you get forced, and it sucks. That's the one, it's one of the many shitty things that happen in this industry. But I feel like the more I do these, I find that I talk about this industry because this is the one I know the most, but I feel like a lot of what we talk about it's all over the place. It's not just this industry. This just seems to be, I don't know the word I'm looking for. It seems to be
that's what we're focused
ramped
on.
up. I think higher than most other jobs, not to discount anything anyone else does.
No,
but this seems to accelerate faster than a lot of the other ones.
I agree. When I was first getting in, I knew I wanted to do this, and I was really excited about it, but it was a whole new world, and I was a very timid, socially anxious girl. So being thrown into the world of porn, where I'm surrounded by all these people who are so comfortable with their sexuality and expressing themselves in that way, and it was amazing. I felt like a little kid just watching their favorite movie stars doing all this cool stuff, and I was just in awe of everything. But then once it kind of rushes into your reality, it goes from you observing it with other people and how they handle it, and you're like, wow, they do this all so gracefully. It's crazy that they can manage all this different stuff, and people self-booking, have agents, all that stuff, all the PR and everything. And I once I was in it, I was like, oh shit, I guess being socially anxious in this environment is really not gonna be conducive to having it's not gonna flow with a productive
this isn't
career.
Gonna help with my success.
No. So I had to work so hard on just getting myself comfortable with being basically around strangers, because this was all so new to me. I don't know any of these people, and it took a while, but once I got comfortable with being around people and socializing and not taking things personally as well, because this is work, even though we're all being really intimate.
It's still just a job.
Yeah, exactly. That was tough.
That's one of the harder things that I think most people, like in my life that I've noticed, like with the vanilla people who aren't in the industry, they have those like, so you go and do this thing with her and there's nothing. Like there's not, I'm like, there's a connection at the moment.
Oh yeah.
And it's a great one. But when she leaves, I go back to do my thing. And when she gets on a plane, and there might be residual, like, oh, I wonder what she's up to.
Yeah.
And because you eventually do create some type of bond.
Yeah.
But it's not this, I need to call her. I wonder what she's doing.
Yeah.
I need her to know I care. Like
Yeah.
those things I think are there, but where most people are like, oh, well, she likes me and she got naked and I was able to do these things. Most people think, well, there should be some more feeling to it than being, and to wrap their head around this situation to where we're going to do this thing and we're going to be super intimate. And then you are going to go to, if you have a partner or not, I'm going to go, which everyone knows I'm married. And everyone knows what everyone's doing and no one's worrying about it because it's just this thing.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing that I definitely like to talk about, just because that was one of the most attractive things for me in the business. Is I loved being able to work with other professionals, like people who are good at sex,
Right.
and also like have intimate moments and create chemistry, but then we don't feel this emotional obligation. Like we don't feel like we need to keep, like sometimes you do, and you have friendships with people where you can actually like, yeah, text them and be like, how are you doing?
Right.
Like, how have you been? Let's maybe grab a drink or whatever. But the thing is if you don't have the space for that, if that's not how your relationship works or whatever it may be at play, you don't have to. We can, like, I have relationships with people in this business where we see each other on set and that's it, and we'll work together and that's it, and I don't mind that, and I don't think they mind that either, and it's such a beautiful thing that we can share this moment and share it with other people too, and we can come back to it and revisit it and experience it again. But like, you know, that was a thing that we did, and we just can continue on with our lives, you know. That's most people can't have those kinds of interactions, like they're not as,
and those, I think those personal limits to where you're like, I'm good with this, and I think when I use these and I make a reference like this, it's harder for people to understand, but it's to me it's as black and white as this. You and I doing something on camera and clocking out after the shoot and giving each other hugs and I'll see you later, and you know, there's the, hey, if you're ever in town, let's like grab a drink, or you know, whatever. There's always that, and sometimes we all interact when we can, but it's the same thing is Jimmy and Sue, who work wherever, doing whatever job, and they are collaborating on a project together, and they both are in marketing, and they both do this thing, and they've been working on it for months, just the two of them, and they check in with their boss and their people under them, but it's just the two of them. They still clock out and go home. They don't feel the need to call and fuck each other, and hey, how you doing? And and they spend more time than we do. Like I see you. If I had my way, I'd see there's a handful of the girls that I would see on a very, very, very regular basis. But because we have an industry and we have to have variety, so we have to spread it out. But I mean, this is the first time I've seen you since we did the SOS thing, and that was in the spring, early spring, wasn't it? Or was it still chilly in the studio when we shot that?
I can't remember.
It's been a minute, but you've been on this journey for a while, which is that was the day that you were starting it.
That was like the peak, honestly. Yeah, it really was, because I really wanted to see how far I could push myself and you could push me, and how much I could handle physically, mentally, emotionally, like just being overwhelmed on all different levels, and witnessing that and experiencing that in this body, being able to take all of that and to feel that release afterwards.
And to never give up while you were doing it. That's the thing.
I'm like getting emotional talking about it, honestly. Like I feel like I'm gonna cry just because like that was so powerful for me. That was such a like experience that I will never forget for the rest of my life. Just because like I knew I was strong, but like I didn't know how fucking strong I was, and now I have this confidence that is unwavering, and I don't feel like I take shit from people anymore, and not that I really took a lot of shit from people before, but again, I try to be a kind person.
Right.
I want everybody to be happy, and I've sacrificed myself a lot for other people.
Right.
I give so much, and I feel like that was kind of the spark, like the first thing that happened where I was like,
you got to do you.
I got to do me, yeah.
Right.
I really got to focus on me, and I started seeing trainer just to like really make myself stronger, feel stronger in my body. Like it wasn't about going after any specific like body image. It was just really about feeling stronger and feeling better and doing something for myself, and then, you know, taking time away from work to tend to my own like mental, emotional stability as well, and like getting more into spirituality. Like I'm a very spiritual person, and I know that means different things for different people.
Right.
And I mean, I don't think anybody could really guess what my spirituality is because it's so personal.
Right. And I think that's one of the things about spirituality is it's because there's religion and you're like, oh, well, what religion? And then you have this textbook that tells you it's Catholicism or it's Muslim or it's, you know, Judaism or whatever, you know, all the religions. But spirituality, I think it's a belief system that is very much yours.
Yes.
And I can say I'm spiritual and it can have nothing to do with you. You know, you can be spiritual who believes in a paganistic kind of foundation, but it's not really paganism, and it may sway towards this or sway toward that. Or you could start with a base that's like in Satanism and do. But I think as far as I with me anyway, is spirituality I feel is a lot more personal, and it's very much you can make it exactly yours because it's spirituality and it's not a book that tells you how to be. And
I love that. I feel like that's kind of the direction a lot of people are going in nowadays, just because, I mean, when you get a set of rules or set guidelines. I mean, yeah, I think I respect religion just for the implementation of morals and, you know, a lot of the stories and, you know, these religious texts are like very meaningful, and I have all the respect for that. But then, you know, all the tension that comes with that, and the war and suppression of things that come naturally to us as humans. You know, we're animals. Guilt. Yeah, the guilt too. Oh God, sexual guilt is such a prevalent thing. And I don't even think that sexual guilt, and I love that we're just going we're like working everywhere. But the sexual guilt, I feel like I think that's something that's not so much, I'm not taking away that it's not rooted in religion, it is. But I feel like that it's how we're also brought up. Yeah, and definitely. Seeing the way you're shamed because we're all natural. And all of us at some point are going to be like, well, that feels nice. Yeah, exactly. I'm touching my dick in case anyone's just listening. But it's, you start experimenting and you start finding out, and, at a super, super young age when there's no sexuality at all and you don't know, there's a lot of reference to, well, it tickles. Okay, well, go to your room. Yeah. Whereas most people take this, don't you touch that. You get your hand away from that, and they shame you at such a baby age to where by the time you do hit puberty, you're like, oh, dude, fuck. And then there's homophobia because, well, no son or daughter of mine's going to be blah, blah, blah. And it's like this, that stems down from wherever how their parents treated them, or their sexual guilt because maybe they have some kind of tendency to want the same sex. Or something in between or whatever, but it's not the standard missionary boy-girl sex. Yeah. And I feel like with that, then systematically there's shame that goes on to the youth, and then the youth gets it and thinks, well, suddenly it's ugly and it's dirty and the stigma and that's how people are like, well, anybody in the porn industry are dumb whores, sex addicts, and they all have daddy issues. See how I did that? I love that. But and most of them are, and like we were talking about the other day, it's like a lot of people have this misconstrued idea that you're a porn star and you fuck for a living, and until you're called out to fuck again, you go sit in a corner and just sit there masturbating. When do I? Yeah, when do I get to suck a dick again? No, this is what I live for. And people don't realize that there's musicians and there's spirituality and there's all these things that go on with all of us, and that there's a friend of ours who's been on the show, Casey Calvert. She's so educated. It's like I try and be really smart when I talk to her, but I also know that if I overstep my boundaries and use big words, she's gonna be like, JP, stop. But she's been published in
I think she's had several, at least articles, if not some. I think like Huffington Post. Like she isn't like someone who wrote for like something that's you never heard of.
Yeah.
Like she's several things that have been published. So she's like super fucking intelligent, and she's just the tip of the iceberg. There's, I mean, this industry's full of them. This industry also has a bunch of fucking jackasses, but so does every HR department. So does every fucking marketing department. Yes. So does every fucking any line of work is going to have the same amount of deviance and smart asses and hyper intelligent people and egomaniacs, and so it's all there. And I always try and point that out when we say it, because I don't want people to be like, well, there's something really wrong with the porn industry. No, there's not. Look at yourself, motherfucker.
It's everyone. We all have shit. That's the thing. You know, like going back to the shame thing, and you know how a lot of it is like generationally like implemented. You know, it's you know our parents. They were raised in a certain way. Their parents were raised in a certain way. You know, there might have been some, you know, motivation that was justified way back when to like be doing that or to be treating things a certain way, but it doesn't make sense. We as humans have evolved. Like we have such a complicated society for such an animalistic being that it's strange a lot of the time. So I mean, I'm just so grateful, going back to like sexual shame too. I'm so grateful. I have such a clear memory of when I first started like discovering things, like getting into, like I mean, obviously it's around when you're like, what, 2 or 3 or something, I don't know, something around there when you first are like, oh, tickle, exactly. You're just like, oh, I don't know what's going on, but I'm feeling my body and figuring it out. My mom, she told me, like, oh, honey, like that's private. You take that to your room. Private. She called it private more than anything. There was no shame.
It's just, hey, this is something you don't do in front of other people. Go to your room.
Exactly. And I am so grateful that she handled things that way, because it could have been so detrimental to my development as a person and like an empowered woman. Because I mean, I've heard such horrible fucking stories. One of my really good friends who's a performer as well, Ivy Wolf, she's like had some experiences and you know, spoken about them, and now she's on this mission of empowering, helping to empower others in their sexuality, and she does a lot of energy work. She's a very spiritual chick. Yeah, she's amazing. Love her to death. But it's such an amazing time for change. There's so much growth and change happening, even though there's a lot of crazy shit going on in the world. Like, we have to pat ourselves on the back and just take time to be patient with people who are trying too. You know, that's another thing, is people are so quick to jump down each other's throats, you know, to be like, well, you fucking said this thing and it's so offensive. And it's like, yeah, point out the behavior that's not okay, but it's a teachable moment and help that person to move forward. Yeah,
and the internet. Just for the record, anybody, if you can actually hear any of that music, is coming from my neighbor. I'm not playing that shit. Not that I hate the music. It's just I have a very noisy neighbor having a party right now, so sorry. But I agree, and I feel like we've gotten to a place in our society where you have these fucking social media avengers almost, where they have this entitlement to where I'm going to tell you that you're doing wrong and I'm doing this thing. And I saw an article the other day about Barack Obama had done this. I forget if he had written a letter, but he was basically criticizing the woke movement. And he was like, it's like, you know, you could sit there behind your computer, woke, and you can make a comment on your social media and hashtag woke. And he was like, but if you're not getting there doing anything, you're not woke, you're just talking. And he said, and it sucks, but it's like the validity, or the power behind being woke. He was like, I'm not to say that that's not there. He's like, but it's losing its gusto because so many people are woke, and it's like, but are you really? Because you're just saying it, and so there's that, and then people, like I said, they're standing up and they're like, well, I'm going to do this, and there's people that shame people into doing shit because they suddenly have this fucking holier than thou mentality that, well, you can't do this and I'm going to get enough of us behind me. And I see so many articles that, well, Twitter came to the rescue or Twitter shamed them into this. Like there's this thing, and I love Twitter, but it's social media. Like if enough people, it's like, it's in a sense, it's the modern day of like a fucking, like a lynch mob. And I'm not saying, obviously making a comparison to assholes sitting behind a computer to what happened in the past.
Yeah.
But it is. There's this fucking ridiculous ignorance that jumps up and goes, we've got to fix this. And they swarm around this person and suddenly they became fucking judge and jury.
Yeah.
And people are fucked, and it pushes people to do horrible things to themselves. I've seen people that have like shut the doors of a restaurant because they were shamed because people were like, well, doing the same thing. And it's like, go fuck yourself. That's like the one thing I push on here all the time is like, mind your fucking business. If it has nothing to do with you and it's not hurting you or anyone, shut up. Let it be.
Yeah. I just feel like we can do so much just through having compassion for people. Like there's so, like I've taken the time, sometimes I get DMs that are just, I mean, I get amazing DMs and I get fucking horrible DMs. I get dick pics all the time. I get all kinds of shit.
I've started getting dick pics. I get a few of them, and it's like these things, and it's like, can help me get into the porn industry, and I'm like, stop it. If I'm your last resort, you have you failed yourself more than you ever knew, because I'm not going to do it for you. And sending me a picture of your little weenus, I don't want to see that.
Google it.
Yeah.
But like, if we, like, I've taken the time. Sometimes I'll read a message somebody has, and they'll be criticizing me for whatever. And I'll take the time and be like, hey, I'm just curious behind your perspective. Like, why? Why do you feel that way? Because here's my perspective. You haven't been considering it. Why don't I just present that to you so you can have the opportunity to see outside of this, you know? And when I've taken the time a few times and actually gotten good responses, or I've told guys when they send me dick pics, I'm like, you know, that's sexual harassment, right? You know, like just because I shoot porn doesn't mean I want to see your penis. Doesn't mean that I'm going to have sex with you.
If you won't do it in public and you won't do it to someone's face, and and I say this all the time too, and if you won't do it in front of your mama, don't do it on the internet. Well, unless we're getting paid to do it, obviously. But if you, these comments that you make and the sending dick pics, and especially when it's unsolicited, like if you would text me like, yo, JP, I kind of miss you, and we were in a situation like that, and you asked, then it's a different story. But I've never met you. I don't know who the fuck you are. You don't get to talk to me that way. You don't get to disrespect me that way, and I damn sure don't want to see your genitalia.
No.
That's just, but people... We've gotten to this internet. Having the internet is the most amazing thing. I mean, if you were to go back and tell our grandparents, or my grandparents, who they're all past now, but if you were to tell them that we walked around with a computer in our pocket, that there's more information, more technology in this little thing than what it took to put people on the fucking moon. And there's memes that say shit like that all the time. They're like, and we spend more time looking at cat pictures or whatever, which I love cat pictures.
Yes, no shame.
But it's you know, like my dad is 75 and he grew up watching like, you know, Star Trek and stuff like that. And like, or even before that. And they had the little being able to talk into a box that wasn't plugged in anything. And that was so like 2200 or like way so in the future, like Jetson style. And it's 2019 and we've been doing this a long time. Like my kid at 8 years old cannot wrap his head around the fact that we used to have to plug that in. Like I go antiquing sometimes and there's the phones and he sees them and he was like, what happens if I push that button? And he's looking for the screen, like where's the screen?
Oh my God.
And why is this curly thing? And I'm like, you have to hold it like this. And he was like, I don't hear anything. And he understands what it is now, because I'm not gonna have a kid that's that becomes a meme one day because he's a kid staring at a payphone not knowing what it is. But it's like I try and make sure that, you know, or rather I'm going back, I got distracted. It's just amazing that we have this much technology and people use it to be hateful to each other and be shitty to each other. Like we could be so much better as a society, like around the entire world.
Yes.
I mean, they used, what was the country that Gaddafi ran it? Remember, and I forget what country it was, but and I feel like an ass. Sorry, don't hold that against me. But anyway, when the people of his country were done with his shit, because they're like, we've had enough, they used fucking Twitter to take him down. They took down a government power, like this horrible ruler. And sorry if you like the motherfucker, But which I don't know anybody that should, but whatever, fuck them. But they used social media to take this fucking guy down because there was such a control over everything that was happening.
Yeah.
And there's like these weird tricks that you can do. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm gonna teach you something. You can go into a Gmail account and have a login, and you type up anything you want to type, and you never send it. It's now saved as a draft. I have that login. I can log in, and I can go look at your draft. Because you and I can pass messages across the internet and no one ever sees them. There's no proof. And as soon as you have written what I need to do, I go log in to the same account and check that draft, delete it when I'm done.
Yep.
There's no fucking proof that it ever happened because nothing was ever fucking sent. Somewhere probably deep in the archives of Google somewhere, there's probably something because they fucking monitor everything we do.
Yeah, I know that they're definitely giving away our information, but
right.
Yeah.
But that's something as simple as that little trick that I just told you, which is just, and I just was, because one day I was like, how the fuck did this happen? And someone showed me that trick and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And they're like, yeah, there's no paper trail because it saves to a draft and gets deleted. So that's never sent anywhere into an inbox. Because if it goes to an inbox, then it goes to a trash. So that, just like with anything, you can recover if you try hard enough. But if nothing's ever sent, it's a lot more hard to retrieve. Knowledge. But so with that being said, like going back to what we were talking about, is it sucks that people are mean. It sucks that people are shitty, and it sucks that people don't put any more effort into trying to be better and having a different perspective instead of being like, fuck him, he did so and so and he was a shithead to me. All right, maybe he was, but why? What's going on with him? If you knew him well enough to care that he's mad and was a shithead, then why don't you ffigure out what the fuck's going on and try and help?
Empathy.
Yeah, but
Empathy.
I'm just a crazy old guy. That's what I say. It amazes me that so many people all of us have the ability to be that way, and so many people choose not to be.
It's really not that hard to take a minute, take a breath. I know that sometimes we get angry or we get offended, we get frustrated with people, and to take a breath and just take the time to try and see it from somebody else's perspective, because most of us have gone through some sort of trauma in our life. Honestly, if we sit down and break down our lives, everybody that we know, they've all had some sort of trauma, whether it's minor or severe.
Right.
And a lot of us have not tended to that. A lot, because we've been taught to just shove it down and just keep on trucking and
a lot of thing too is a lot of people don't like to talk about or admit to, because this is a harder thing to admit, is that a lot of us have caused trauma.
Yeah.
A lot of us have caused damage. And a lot of times, especially you look back, and I'm, like I said, almost 50 years old, what was acceptable when I was a kid, you go to jail for now. Or maybe not jail, but you don't get away with the shit.
Get in trouble, yeah.
And there's a lot of things to look back and go, well, fuck, now that I'm older and realize that was totally acceptable and it was totally okay. Fuck, who did I hurt?
Yeah.
Who did I inadvertently damage because of me doing something because I'm just one of the boys?
Yeah.
I'm just being a kid, being a boy. Yeah. And it was the simple things like grab assing. Yeah. It was the thing, you walk up to a girl and grab her ass. Fuck you. And that's just, it's such a shitty thing to think that it's okay to take your hands and put them on somebody else without their permission.
Yep.
And it's just being a boy back then. And I'm fighting so hard to that not be the case with my kid.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, you got it made because you got a boy. I feel like unfucking what all of his friends are at some point going to think is cool and try and get him to do is as equal to trying to teach a young lady to stand up for herself and don't take shit. And it's one of those, like, you can teach people to be strong and to stand up for themselves. At some point, it's going to stick. Yeah. But to try because that's an independent, that's a self thing. But then to have someone who swarms around and they're all buddies and they're all trying to impress, because we all at some point as a child do this, that I've got to stand up to all of them and say, no, fuck you, no, that's going to hurt that person. And people don't think about it.
No.
And like I said, and it's a lot of us have done as innocent as it seemed. We've hurt people just as much but people don't want to admit that part. They're just, everyone's like, well, we've all been hurt, but a lot of us have done the hurting.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. Like
Right.
no fucking person on this earth is perfect.
Right.
We've all inflicted and been inflicted upon. So that's why I feel like, I mean, I'm a big believer in karma. I'm a big believer in the law of attraction. I'm all about, you know, trying to put out what I want to get back. So that's where this idea of like having empathy and having compassion for people who, even like the shittiest people, dude, like I've been through some shit. I've had some people like try to take advantage of me and stuff in my past, just like 1 in 4 women have. And like regardless of industry, by the way.
Yep.
But it's ridiculous. Like I've taken the time to sit and try and understand these people's perspective and try and understand what kind of trauma that person's been through and try and understand, like, you know, how they must have felt going through that and why they would get to the point where they'd feel like they should inflict something upon me.
Right.
And that whole process has helped me to understand that, like, we're all on a different step in our journey, you know, and we're all going to go through different things, not justifying the shit that's happened, but like when you can sit and empathize with somebody, you just want nothing but the best for them. You want them to grow, you want them to learn, you want them to figure out what it is to be a decent person, or you know. So I feel like that has helped me so much, because I also used to be somebody who would just quick respond to people on social media. Anybody who said anything kind of relatively antagonistic or like insulting or shitty to me, really, I'd jump on them and be like, well, fuck you, and and just try and make them feel shitty. And then I was like, well, that's just creating more shit.
Yeah, and it's a way of circling and becoming this pattern.
Yeah.
And it sucks. And I usually try and refrain from it. I had one recently who, see if I can pull this up really quick while we're talking about it. And this person kind of just kept pushing.
Yeah.
And pushing to a point that I was like, all right, you know what?
Sometimes we need to.
Sometimes, yeah, exactly. Sometimes
we
people need to get slapped in the fucking mouth. and I try and be super chill. And this person's popped up before. Where do I find this on here? They've popped up in my feed before, and they're like this. I actually tweeted about it at one point. I was like, you know what? Stop playing Captain Save-A-Ho. If the girl wants your help, she's going to reach out because she's got hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands or whatever followers.
Yeah.
But don't sit there and interject and assume that they fucking need you or want you. So stop trying to play that fucking game. And this person made some smart ass comment about, sorry, I'm trying to get to it as I'm talking.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, here it is. He had some smart ass comment. I don't think it's going to show up. Oh, that's right. I blocked the motherfucker. So one of the models, it was Alina Lopez, put something up, or Kink put it up, and Alina, or this person said something like, blah, blah. It was a complete negative shithead. And Alina was like, so because you don't find it sexy or erotic, that means no one else does. I had some of the most intense orgasms of my life during this scene, so you can kindly fuck off.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great. They came back and said something even shittier. And again, I usually refrain from these things, but I wrote, this is troll level shit, trying to get any response possible from people that would never usually speak to you. It's sad, and I'm sorry you're such a miserable person that you feel the need to ridicule people to make yourself feel better. # blocked. Yep. And I was like, that's as nice as I'm going to be to tell you to go fuck yourself.
No, and that was actually really respectable. Like, you're not telling him that he's a piece of shit, or, you know, go fuck yourself, or, I mean.
Those are the old days. I would tell people, go fuck yourself. I'll come through this phone and wring your fucking neck and skull fuck you. Like, I had to go back and delete a lot of things because I have a temper, and I've been trying to work harder about, it's probably not the best time to take my hat off as I'm rambling. I've learned that I have to control it. Yeah. Just like with anything with self-improvement, like you can't let emotions run your life.
Yes.
And the quickest way to figure out that you're doing that is having a little person who follows you around and pays attention to everything you do. And I'm like, I can't let that little person think that being a dickhead and being macho. And I don't think I'm a macho person, but I have a short fuse and I got a hell of a mouth on me. So that probably comes across at least really aggressive, which could be construed as macho. because I think I'm probably the least macho person I know. I just, so, I mean, whatever. But it's like, it's to see someone watching you and emulating everything you do it's a harsher reality, I think, than looking in the mirror and realizing what you're doing. Because seeing it and going, okay, I should probably fix this is one thing, but then having somebody start doing the things, right? And you're like, okay, well, now I've directly fucked that person. Essentially, like I've affected them in such a shitty way just because I can't get a hold of my own fucking emotions.
I think that's a really good example of, or just, you can tie that in with just how you treat other people too, and how that ripples off in general. Like having a little kid, having a child that you're, you know, kind of responsible for bringing into the world and like showing them the ropes and figuring out how to be a decent person and to lead their life the way that they need to. That is powerful, and it really provides perspective on how we as people affect so many others in our day-to-day life. Like somebody that you yell at on the road, or somebody that, like a server who's struggling and having a hard time, and maybe like your food didn't come quick enough, or it can be a whole slew of different things. We don't know what the fuck anybody else is going on in their life. We don't. We really fucking don't. That person that's like sitting in their mom's basement, or I don't know, whatever scenario, that's sitting there like,
we're talking about the troll.
Yeah, exactly.
The trolls are always in their mom's or their dad's basement. They're always in the basement, and they're like 60, and they're eating fucking pizza rolls. There's nothing wrong with any of that, but except the 60 in your mom's basement. Jerking off to what we're talking about now.
If you're that person, you know, sitting there and being so hateful on the internet and trying to make other people feel like shit, most likely they feel like shit. Most likely they've been through some stuff. Most likely they need somebody to take a minute and just be like, dude, I'm sorry you feel so sad. I mean, maybe you have some work you need to do with yourself.
Maybe you should take a break, fucking with everybody else, and work on you before you start doing this. And it's I don't know, it's hard. And a lot of people refuse to. That's the bigger thing too, I think, is a lot of people just don't want to admit it. They're like, there's nothing wrong with me. Fuck you, you're a bitch. Wait a minute, I just said maybe you should look at yourself. Fuck you, you're a bitch. You know, like it's because everything is negative to them. So whatever, fuck them.
Life is a continuous cycle of growth. I have a saying that I love to say, and it kind of ties in with my spirituality, is that Earth is the hardest school. Because we're all here learning. We're all birthed, and we're like, we're here. I don't know what the fuck any of here means or what we're doing, but we're here. And then these other people who are like, I've never had a kid before, but we're gonna do this thing. Nobody has experience with what they're doing. We're all figuring it out for the first time.
And as far as we've gotten in history of mankind, there's still not a book. There's still not a handbook that tells anybody how to do any of this.
I don't think any handbook could ever
Well, there's no right way, because we're all so different.
No,
So trying to fix anybody, or trying to put okay, well, we're going to put this thing in place and that's going to guarantee they're going to work. No, it's not. No. There's people that come from the best homes in the world that are drug addicts that live on the street. There's people who come from the nastiest of ghettos, and they are some of the biggest celebrities in the world, whether it's sports or music or movies or whatever. Everybody. Yeah. So there's no way to do it. I think what there is the initiative and the desire to try and make sure you are a better example for the people that are coming after us. So maybe we can start unfucking what we've done.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
We gotta try to do something, leave something positive. Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, they teach you, they're like, leave a campsite better than when you found it, and stuff like that. It's like, apply that to everything.
Why don't you try that besides just camping?
Yeah, everything. Any person you meet, any interaction you have, any space you're in, if you can try to just leave it a little better, or just give a little more positivity to somebody that might need it, it's everything. Anytime I have a server, doesn't matter how shitty they are, I'm gonna tip them. If they're being a blatant asshole to me, different story, but I might still tip them just because I know that they're working. My punishment is
I drop them to 10%. I'm 20% is where I kind of cruise, and if you really, really suck, I'm gonna, you know what, you're in so much trouble, I'm only giving you 10%.
Yeah, you still tip them.
I'm still gonna tip them because they're still doing the job, and half the time, something's going on that's making them be that way.
Yeah.
I also go into restaurants and I'm like, okay, well, it's taking an hour, but I'm here on a Friday at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
So I'm aware where when I do certain things, or you're at the biggest brunch place in the city and you show up at 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning and you're pissed because there's a 30-minute wait, go to one of those other places that you can go get, a stack of pancakes for fucking $3 or whatever it is.
No.
So
can't take out your frustrations on other people just because that feels good. Yep.
Right. Unless you do it like I do. And that's not frustration.
It's a little different.
Yeah. Mine's not frustration.
No.
Mine's fun.
We want it.
Exactly. I had some questions.
Ask me some questions.
I love that talk, but I'm like, fuck, I want to get to some stuff because you have to leave soon. Mm-hmm. I keep getting distracted because I have a text message and I'm like, I know what it says now, and I'm still like, I'm gonna look one more time to make sure it's not something new. You at one point were directing.
Yeah.
Are you still directing?
I have taken a little break personally, and that kind of goes in with the whole focusing on myself and focusing on my spirituality and getting my mental and emotional all aligned. And I feel like there was a lot of work I wanted to do on myself that I couldn't do working as much as I was, and I was trying to balance shooting as a performer as well as writing, as well as directing and booking. I did so much.
Right.
So doing all those things when I didn't have myself aligned and right was so overwhelming. So I decided to take a step back from that, and I'm hoping to get back to it in 2020. I just want to give myself a little break. But that was amazing. It was really cool just to take stories that I've had, my brain rattling around, and to create something with that, and to book people that I've always wanted to see work together, and to create these really amazing stories with incredible chemistry. It's everything I would have ever wanted and more. So I'm grateful for that. It's really cool. I was directing for MissX.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All her love.
Were you, one, I can tell you that we'll start with this, is that the overwhelming thing is always going to be there.
Yeah.
That's part of being the director, because especially if you're writing your own stuff, because you have to write it, you have to direct it, and now you've gotten so invested. This is like a different relationship.
Yeah.
And you've started this relationship with the script and the story, and everything about it's emotional. Everything about it's very personal.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, especially if you were doing all of the booking and everything. That's why I tell everybody in the industry, I'm like, you need your own Becky.
Yes.
Because I was doing it for a while when we left the when we left the Armory. I was like, I'm going to do all the booking, I'm going to do all of this, I'm going to do all the paperwork, I'm going to do everything. And it got to a point where I was a shit bag to be around, and she was like, you need to give up some of this. And I'm like, no. And she was like, we'll talk about how it needs to go down, but if you don't find some way of getting someone to do some of this for you, you're gonna go fucking crazy, and I don't want to be around you. And it wasn't like a divorce threat, it was more like you're just being a dick.
Yeah. Because
and
she cares.
Right, and she's an organized research queen, and I was like, all right. And there was the whole, you're gonna do it my way because you're representing me. And she was like, whatever, dude, that's fine. Yeah. And I can talk the talk all I want, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna go home and she's still gonna kick my ass. I can be at work and be like, I'm being the dickhead director, but when it's all said and done, I'll still hear about it later. She's like, you're a shit today. And I'm like, I don't care. But it's one of those, I think being a director, it's just like, it's management. So it's one of those, you have to find the right people to work for you that are as passionate about the project as you are, and that you can also trust to go, you got this is your job, and not, hey, did you do it? Are you finished?
Yeah.
Did you call? And you got to be able to and it's delegation, and it's hard.
It is not easy,
It's
especially
hard.
for the first time. I mean, I'm observing it on the performer side definitely gave me perspective that was very helpful.
Right.
But, and I feel like I kind of was able to cater a little more to performers in that way, because, I mean, there are a lot of directors who've been performers, and there are a lot that have not.
And then there's a lot of performers who claim to be a director who are not.
Yes.
I said it. I fucking said it. I don't care.
But it was really overwhelming. I'm not gonna say it wasn't challenging, because it fucking was. And it got to a point, like I said, with balancing everything else, where it wasn't doing good for me, and I had other personal shit going on, so I needed to take a step back from it all. And I feel like because I did, the porn is so much more beautiful to me.
Right. You're probably more well equipped now to go back because you have to try and then you have to fail. And then you have to try again and then you'll fail again. And then eventually the failing doesn't sting as bad because you know you're going to get back up and keep doing it because you're determined and because of your integrity. And eventually that first win happens and then all those fails are forgotten about. They're not completely forgotten, but that you've licked your wounds and you've moved on because you got it. And you're still going to stumble because we all do. I still do. It's almost 16 years now and I'm still like, oh shit, that didn't work out. But it's being able to do it and fail and get up and do it again until you get it right, and being passionate about it and sticking to it and not letting it kick your ass, and also knowing to a point where you're like, okay, I'm done. That's enough of my soul. I need to get some of it back. You can't have it anymore. And when it gets to that point, that's when you have to be done. That's why I tell everybody, I was like, I'm almost 16 years and I'm still just as nasty and perverted as I've always been, and I still love doing it. So, but there is a lot of stress that comes with it. But I mean, it's part of doing it. But I feel like being empathetic as a director, and because we have to do a job and we have to command the people to do the things that we need, but it's getting them, we're all on the same team and we're all driving this fucking boat and everyone wants to see the same thing. And everyone believes in the same thing. Everyone wants to see the final result. Makes it a lot different. Whereas you have people who come in and I'm going to be a dick and fuck you, Kristen Scott, and hey, can you follow me to the bathroom, and all of these horrible things. Anything from treating people like shit, having zero empathy, not giving a fuck about what's going on and what their crew is doing, not holding anyone responsible, not even cleaning half. There's so much horrible, trashy shit that goes on. And those are the ones that I talk about because most of us are really good at what we do and we're really professional. But there's ones that are like, they're just this fake it till you make it. It's like, you motherfuckers are making us all look like shit. You are the stereotype why people still think that this is a nasty industry. No, it's a professional business. Right. Like there are professional sets that are amazing, and I will show up to set like, your place is so clean, honestly. Like, I was actually rolling out my muscle on the floor in the other room earlier. In the green room? Yeah, I was on the floor, and I was like, wow, the floor's really clean. Like, just little details like that, like taking care of your talent. Like, you guys are so attentive. Right. I mean, it's not the case everywhere, but it's more popular. I mean, not popular, but it's more prominent that people are taking care of their shit. Right. So, but yeah, going back to, like, there are some people that are making a bad example for us, and it's shitty. And you know, most of us know who those people are. Most of us do. And I'm gonna do an expose one day, motherfuckers. We're gonna name names and we're gonna fucking watch the whole. It's gonna be like the final scene in Fight Club. We're gonna just sit back and watch it all fucking explode. Or not. You'll have to stick around. Yes. I feel like I'm a real cheap broadcaster now. You'll have to wait after this commercial. But it's. I mean, most of us know who they are, and. You have a choice to make whether you want to go and do that thing or not. Do you want to be a part of that person, like enabling them? Like, I've started to say no to so many people. And part of it is because of my own personal boundaries and things that I just don't want to do. And part of it is like, fuck you. You're not good at what you do, or you disrespect talent, or the talent you hire disrespects talent, or whatever. The crew you have disrespects talent. Yeah. And I'm really just at a point where I'm like, don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with me anymore. And it sucks that, you know, sometimes we have to come into this business and experience people trying to take advantage of you in order to learn how to say no. Right. And especially when you have agents and, you know. Just shut up, put your head down, do your job. Yes. Don't be difficult. Yes. And they're not speaking up for you. And they're continuing. No, go ahead. Just for the record, fuckers that's listening, we don't need the sympathy. We don't need the boo-hoo. Nope. We don't need anyone to come in here and regulate shit, because there's fucking Susie and Johnny that's sitting there at a cubicle around the fucking corner from most of you, who's a bigger dickhead than the ones that we're talking about right now. Yes. So I hate to have to reiterate all the time, but there's as many in the rest of the world as there are here. We're just talking about it. And we're figuring it out too. That's another thing. And that's part of one of the reasons this is like, I'm kind of, and I'm not trying to do some expose and out people, but it's to give people a voice, to humanize us, and to at some point have a resource, maybe even to where people coming into the industry can go, hey, go listen to this asshole's podcast because he's got professionals that are on there and they talk about industry stuff. And it's not always about industry stuff, but it's, you know, there's things you can, because there is no book, there is no college, there's no class, there's a few organizations out there, but coming into the industry, most of the people in this industry don't know the organizations there, and they're in the goddamn industry.
I didn't learn about them until I had been in for at least a year, if not longer. Right. And there's a lot of things that can happen within a year. So, there needs to be, and I think this can definitely be a good resource of just a standard of just understanding. We'll discuss things that are good, things that are bad. I mean, we can discuss a whole slew of things inside, outside the industry. Right. But it's like, girls and guys too, coming into the industry who don't know the standards. You know, you hear about porn, but you don't know what's happening. Right. It's like, okay, so you're telling me that this is what I need to do? Okay, I'm gonna do that because I wanna be good at my job and I want to, succeed and make everybody happy or whatever. I was so much that type of person. I pushed my body, I pushed my mental. I will never forget, I had a scene once where I was on set for 12 hours and that's one thing. That's not necessarily terrible, but
it's not ideal.
No, it's not ideal, but it's not horrible, especially
shit happens because it happens in Hollywood too.
Yeah, exactly.
So shit happens.
You provide food, whatever, so long as everybody's taken care of. But by the end of the day, we had to shoot a pool scene at 10:30 at night. So the day took longer than anticipated, first of all, and then second, we had to shoot a pool scene where I'm getting dunked under the water, and then I have to make out with the other girl, and it was freezing fucking cold. I got in the water and I was just like,
right,
literally could not control my muscles. And I'm looking at the director and I'm looking at all the crew and I'm just kind of like, I know everybody's annoyed. I know everybody wants to get this done, but does nobody, no one thought to heat the pool? You can heat the pool and we were here for 12 hours. Nobody thought to do that.
Yeah. And it would have been warm in 12 hours.
I have never been so cold. And to do that, and I just grit my teeth, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I want to get paid. I want to get the fuck out of here, and all that. But that was probably the one time I was very, very, very close to walking off set and just telling everybody to go fuck themselves.
Right.
Because I had done so much all that day. I'd given so much of myself. I did a great sex scene. I did great acting. Everybody did. We all put in so much. And then at the end of it, I was like, I feel so disrespected. I feel so taken advantage of. They just assume that I'm just gonna do this and
jump in an ice bath and perform.
Essentially, yeah. Right. And that I'm not gonna look like shit while I'm doing it too. Right. They're like, we need you to look a little, and I'm like, fuck you.
Can you look and enjoying it a little more?
You wanna bring the camera in the fucking water and deal with it yourself?
Let's get your little baby nuts in here and you stand there and don't shake like I am.
Fuck. But I did it and everything turned out great. Don't necessarily regret going through that, but it definitely taught me that I'm never fucking doing that again. Definitely.
Right. And the thing with this is, and this is a perfect example to use, is, and I don't know who the director was, and I honestly don't give a fuck who it was, because it doesn't matter. The point is that as a director coming up, when you show up, you have a script, or at least you know what you're going to be doing that day. You start planning things. Check the temperature of the pool.
Yes. Is
there food in the refrigerator? Do we have enough water? Is the surface I'm about to have her lick to show her obedience or whatever scenario, has it been fucking sanitized and clean? And I'm not talking with a fucking baby wipe.
No.
So these are these things that as a director, producer person, you have to consider. Like when I do the scenes where I have the girls do boot worship, I go and clean the fuck out of my boots.
Yes.
And they get sanitized because they're fucking shoes. Mm-hmm. And there's that. There's checking the fucking temperature of the water. And if the temperature of the water doesn't work, then hey, we're gonna postpone this. Maybe we'll come back tomorrow when they've got the pool heated. Or hey, let me call whoever I'm working for and say, this is a no-go and it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
I had an incident where I was shooting some porn and the company wanted this girl scene outside and they were supposed to fuck outside and eventually they'd work their way in. and it was so hot here in Vegas that it was like 114, 115 degrees. Well, these are expensive, nice cameras, but these cameras shut the fuck down. Have you ever been out in that kind of temperature and your cell phone doesn't work?
Yes.
These cameras do the same thing because of the sensors and the technology. So I've got to call them, hey, I'm not gonna be able to do the shoot you want. And they were like, well, no, you've got a script, you have to stick to the script. I was like, my camera doesn't work. Now, I don't know where you are or what kind of temperature you have, but it's 115 degrees. And I'm in the fucking sun, and even in the shade, it's still 115 degrees. And if the camera doesn't work, you don't get to shoot. Now everyone's here, and everyone's flown in. They all have their makeup and hair done. The costumes have been bought. All of the extra stuff's been, all of the money has been spent. Let's rewrite the script and make it work for what we're doing.
Yep.
Or we can throw all that fucking money away.
Yeah.
And it's your money. So tell me how you want me to proceed.
Yep.
I'm sitting in the AC until you call me back.
Yep, there you go.
And there was a big hustle and bustle, and well, what about this? And there was like, they kept asking all these questions. I was like, you seem to forget one thing. I don't give a fuck at this point what the girls have to say. The girls are gonna do it because we're all there trying to make a fucking movie. The camera doesn't fucking work. Like if I can't get the camera to capture it, it doesn't matter who's willing to do what, the camera doesn't fucking work. So needless to say, we went and made a movie and that was the end of it. Yeah. But it was this whole fucking thing about knowing the situation and being able to move and maneuver through that, rather like the cold fucking pool at fucking night.
Yeah.
Someone should have rethought that.
Yeah.
Or, hey, we're gonna have to wrap this up. Let's meet back up here tomorrow night, or we'll have to come back a later time. Like somebody should have thought about that.
Yeah, it was a long day. And it's, you know, even if performers are willing to put themselves in situations like that and willing to go above and beyond and, you know, deal with 115 degree fucking weather or, I don't know, fucking freezing cold.
Yeah, 50 degree pool.
Yeah, you know, as a director, as a producer, like, I mean, we have an obligation to their safety. And we're responsible for all of them. Exactly. And it just blows my mind how you know, there are people out there that just are like, that's out the window, it's not on my brain, and it's like,
they don't care.
What? Because
they're trying to get it done, and they're trying to get it done as fast as possible, and they want to move on. They need their check so they can go do something else.
Yep. And
it's I don't know, I'm sure that people are like, JP's so mad at these people, but I'm sick of them, and
so am I.
And I think a lot of us are, and I think there's a tipping point at some point that's going to happen in this industry. I know there's a tipping point that's going to come. And when it does, there's going to be names called. There's going to be accountability held at a level that most people are going to be like,
oh, shit. Yeah.
And they're going to slowly back the fuck out because it's going to be, shots are going to get fired. Excuse me, as I squeak like a pubescent boy. Shots are going to get fired, and people are either going to stand up and try and defend themselves, and that never ends well, especially if you're guilty, or you bow out. Yeah. And this industry kind of comes back to what it used to. And there's always going to be the dirty. I'm not saying there's not, but it's getting the point that it's gotten to where it has so much horrible shit's become acceptable. And there's so many good directors and companies that are like, no, we're not putting up with this. Yes. We're not dealing with it. But there's also the same companies who, I'm not going to put up with this, and we won't tolerate that on our sets, that have no idea that it's going on their sets because no one's talking about it. No one's standing up and saying it, because it's easier for me just to put my finger up his ass and whisper dirty in his ear and jerk him off for fucking 45 minutes to an hour and a half, just so we can all get out of here and get a paycheck. Because like you were saying the other day, no one gets paid until they pop. Yep. So now everyone else has got to go through all of this shit. All the stress. And no one's going to complain, because if you complain, well, now you're being that bitch. Now you're being the problem. And well, if you keep acting this way, Kristen Scott, I can't get you work anymore as an agent. And it's like, no, if you don't start, people don't start talking about this, these fucks are going to continue to be this way. The directors, I'm air quoting for people that can't see, these people are going to continue to be the shitheads that they are, and it makes us all look bad, and it becomes more and more acceptable. I've got a great idea for a movie that I'll have to remind me before you go. I'm not going to talk about it in front of these people, because motherfuckers. Just playing. But I got an idea that stems really close to what we're talking about now. So I'm almost poking Like I'm taking like, oh, you guys want to talk about real life? I'll talk about some real life, but make a porn out of it. So
yes,
it's
okay.
fucked up.
I like that.
It's very JP fucked up and twisted. Yes. But I'm not a monster in this one. No. I've actually got people that are already doing the job just fine in my script that are being the monsters. I don't have to be the monster. I'm going to sit back and direct, and I'm looking at mainstream shit, bitches.
Fuck yeah.
I'm not doing bondage in this one.
Fuck yeah, wow.
We'll talk about it afterwards. Now you guys got to wonder.
I want to touch on what we're talking about, just the there are a lot of fantastic companies where I get on set and I'm so respected, I'm so taken care of. Again, there are more people doing it right than there are people I'd say it's a pretty, I know there's more people.
There's definitely more. Most people are doing it right and they're doing it well.
Yes, but I will say there are a lot of performers. There is a lot of porn to be made. There is a wide range of different kinds of people and different kinds of production. So with that being said, I mean, also with free porn now, it's, the budgets for a lot of productions have shrunk.
Right.
There isn't a lot of resources to be able to take care of all the things that we should be able to take care of. And the people who really want to try and make it in this business, who want to work, who want to pay their rent or whatever it is, they're stuck in these situations where they don't feel like they can say, hey, this is not okay, because they want to come back and work more. Mm-hmm. They love what they do. They're so passionate about it that they're willing to put up with shit that they shouldn't have to put up with. And it's because nobody's taking responsibility. So again, it's not porn as a whole. No fucking way, because I would not be here. I would not fucking be here. So many of us would not be here. It's just the people who feel like we're expendable.
Right. You're a commodity.
Doing that. Yep. And, I feel like I might piss some people off by, talking about it and by, being upfront. I've called people out who've fucked up or done shitty things. I've gone on Twitter and called out people who've tried to take advantage of me and stuff. And
right.
It's always going to get some sort of backlash because nobody wants to look bad. And I understand that because we already face so much shit from society as a whole. But at the end of the day, there are so many good people doing this because they love it. And there are so many good people who like to create the most genuine experience on camera and provide that to viewers and want it's a passion, it's a love, it's so, it runs so deep for them. So that's why for us, when we are hearing about things and experiencing things that are less than what we would hope, it's heartbreaking.
It's infuriating.
Oh yeah, oh my God. I have so many friends in this business who I just love dearly, and anytime I hear somebody's gone through something, even just today, I got a text message from one of my best friends and heard about something that happened on set, and I was just like, what the fuck? And
and I've talked about this before, it's just the girls at the bottom that are coming in. It's the ones that don't know better.
No.
There are some girls, without naming names, that are extremely high up in the ranks.
Yeah.
And they've had it happen to them. I've had stories, and just recently, and I'm like, you're fill in the blank with the name that's a super popular girl. Mm-hmm. This happened to you? And she's like, yeah, dude, this still did. It doesn't matter who the fuck I am. Someone still thinks it's okay to put their dick in me, or try at least. Yeah. And then there's also girls that are like, fuck it, bring it.
Yeah.
I will fuck you, because you got friends, call them, and I'll fuck you until they get here.
To each their own.
And I don't condemn any of them, but what I do condemn is when it's not consensual, and when you take advantage of a situation to where you are in a position of power and you abuse it. And it happens.
Yep.
And it happens sometimes accidentally, sometimes, but when it's malicious and it continues to happen and you damn well know what the fuck you're doing and you continue to do it, and we know just recently in this industry, there was one that seemed to think it was okay to keep calling people over for go-sees at the house, And that shit that went down, and that's just one. Again, I don't want people to think that this is horrible, but I just at the same time I'm so sick of the few bad apples in this industry that keep doing stupid shit like this.
Yes, and I think there's a lot of people that are fed up with it, and there's a lot to be done, and I feel like there's a lot that's happened too. Right. And things are really surfacing, and I'm noticing certain directors, certain crew members are gearing up for it, and they're like, fuck yeah, all right, let's take responsibility for shit. Let's handle what's happened, and let's try to implement new ways of doing things on set, and different ways to ensure that this never fucking happens.
Right.
And then there's directors and crew members who are talking shit on the fact that people are being called out.
Right.
And whenever I'm on set and I hear them going, oh, well, that's not appropriate anymore for me to say that I like your ass, so sorry, that slipped out, my bad. I'm like, you're making me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You didn't have to make it all I joke around with people. We all joke around on set. Yeah. We're gonna comment on each other's bodies sometimes. We're right. Naked, we're doing shit. You gotta feel out your relationship with people. It is intricate, it's difficult. It's not something that you just know right off the bat.
Right.
But if you can sit and just understand the concept of consent and understand that, yeah, you have to take a couple extra steps in order to ensure that you're not going to offend anybody, in order to ensure that you're not going to hurt anybody, that you're not going to trigger, sorry, I know that word is really meh for a lot of people, or activate, whatever you want to right. use, somebody and their trauma that they've experienced. Take a fucking step back. Use some empathy. It's not that hard. Just imagine what it would have been like if you were in the opposite position.
But that's the problem. Most of them can't. Most people can't imagine what it's like. That's why there's so many, and this is go back to the societal thing, that you have so many situations that a perfect example is the Black Lives Matter movement. Mm-hmm. When that was going on, so many white people stepped up and was like, what about us? We're not talking about you. Of course you matter. We all matter. But we're talking about them right now.
Yeah, no,
we're not talking about you.
Shut the fuck up,
yeah.
basically.
And it's the same thing. No one can sit there and they're like, why is this possible? Why did they get all the attention? Well, there's a situation, motherfucker. Yes. And what was it someone said, fuck, there's so many good references and I can't think of one now, that, fuck, how did they describe just very simple cut down way. We're not talking about pie. So it's not like if I take a piece and put it over here, you lost a piece. We're not talking about fucking pie.
No.
We're talking about we all need to be treated the same.
Yes.
But it's the back again to the empathy. It's the not understanding and being able to look at a situation from someone else's point of view, or understanding or having the empathy to see, all right, I've never been in that situation, so maybe I need to take a step back and okay, that I'm looking at it, now I get it.
Yeah.
But people don't do that. So that's the problem, is people even wanting to take a step back and to try and figure out why this isn't the right thing. And instead of, but to what you were saying earlier, this the whole, I better be careful what I say. How about just don't be a bag of shit? There's a concept. Don't be a shithead. Stop worrying about being a dick, and stop thinking about just you, and be compassionate towards everyone.
Everyone. If we could all just take a minute to be empathetic, or just try to put ourselves in other people's shoes, everything would be so much easier. So much easier. It's not easy for a lot of people to do that. But come on. It's almost 2020. So much shit is not the way it should be. Let's be honest. We're becoming aware, and we're having these conversations, and that's good. And that's progress, and we need to, pat ourselves on the back for that.
Right.
But don't forget all the shit that's still happening right now. Don't not discredit, but dismiss.
Right.
Dismiss the things that are still occurring. Honestly, I'm gonna talk about it. It's something that fucking bothers me. The fact that so much of the time, Black performers, people of color, are just put in this one category in this industry, and they're just like, this is what you do, and we're gonna call it black blah 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 blah, or like, you know, just they have to make it a race thing or an ethnicity thing,
right?
And it just makes it so that these performers only get like this certain kind of work, and it's like, we are all fucking people. I understand for the sake of marketing that a lot of people are like, okay, well, if we market it this way, then for sure it's gonna sell and we're gonna make our money. But fuck no. Fuck no. These people wanna just be on camera and just have sex and like create a genuine product, and it doesn't have to be geared towards this specific, just kind of fucked up thing. Like it just.
But it's the sex shaming that we've talked about earlier.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. And I understand that we make products that turn people on.
Yeah.
And the fact that having, I mean, and there's so many memes that I've seen do this in so many ways, but there's 5 black guys standing behind a little white girl, and everyone, and I think it's hot. I could give a fuck about what skin color is going on.
Exactly.
5-on-1 is super hot, no matter what it is.
Yes.
But having the stereotypes of let's play into this and make it a little, and I think it's not as bad as it used to be, but there's been sites who played with the N-word way too much. But that's my opinion. For them, it worked. And the people that were jerking off, it must have worked. But as far as I know, this is probably one of the few industries, if not, it's not the only, because they're still there, because there's still people that like, I just read an article about Django Unchained, how there's so many people that were upset that they're like, well, Tarantino's got this thing, like he's so obsessed with using the N-word. And people, there's either people that hate him for it, or there's people like Samuel L. Jackson and Jamie Foxx step back and go, dude, he's writing it for the fucking piece. Like, it has nothing to do with him, that he's writing this movie, and that's correct, or at least that's their take on it. And it's the same thing with this industry, is people are gonna make the movie that's just like, we don't do, and on my sets, and normal verbiage, or anything as far as kink's even concerned, we don't use the word tranny. We don't use she-male. And that was said a long time ago, that's not what the game we're gonna play. But, and it's becoming more acceptable now, but a lot of people, they don't know transsexual or transgender. They know tranny. Which is funny, because they know the tranny part, but they don't know where that even comes, the root from where that fucking slang comes from, or that slur. And the she-male thing, and it's the same thing, and that's what they look for, and it's fucking search words. And that's the shitty part, is those words are the ones that work.
Yeah, you tag a scene a certain way, people are gonna find it, and you're gonna get paid.
Those are the ones people are looking for the most.
Yep.
But going back to the race thing, one of the things, and this drives me fucking so crazy. Male or female person of color, specifically we're gonna say black, because that's where we call the interracial rate.
Yep.
Is when it's a black on anyone else. Everyone except them, the black performers that I'm aware of, if you're anything except black, and there's people that do it, they charge an interracial rate, but almost every scene Anna Fox does is fucking interracial. Is anyone paying her extra? Sorry, Anna, I'm not calling you out on this. I love you, but if you ever watch this, but there's no backwards. Mm-hmm. Like our black performers, as far as I know, don't get paid extra to fuck white people or Latin people or Asian people. But there's people in this industry who can demand a higher rate to fuck a black person. The fuck is that?
I came in and I had my agent telling me, "Oh, this is normal. Everybody does this. Why don't you, like, we're gonna have you do this special rate." And I was like, that's fucking weird. That's not okay. It makes me really uncomfortable. I don't fucking get why this is a thing.
Right.
But my agent's telling me this is normal. And understanding that that's not okay, even though my only person that's you know, giving me the lay of the land of porn is telling me, "Oh, this is how it's done." I was like, fuck no. Fuck no, I'm not fucking charging an IR rate. Are you kidding me?
It went away for a while. Yeah. It was almost completely gone for a minute. And then it started coming back, and that site Black launched, and it's a highly successful site. Yes. And dude that's doing it well. Yeah. Again, it plays in stereotypes, and the people that are showing up on those sets know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. The little white girl is playing the little innocent white girl who's being taken down by the big scary black man. And everyone on set, including the men, all know that they are there to play a role and they walk away. And that's fine. If everyone there is cool with it, cool. And if everyone's jerking off to it and they're getting off, and again, that's fine. But it's the fact that we have allowed, and like I said, it was almost gone. And a handful of people that would pop up, like every once in a blue moon, I'd book someone, because I used to do a boy-girl site, and I had a black male performer that I used, several of them actually, now that I think about it. And if it was ever told to me that, well, her IR rate, nope, done, get her off my list.
Yep.
I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck who she is. And people can give you every excuse, and it's your body. It's your choice. Do whatever you want, whatever makes your dick thick. But as an industry, not as a personal thing. Because a personal thing, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But if you're down, why are you charging extra?
Frankly, it just pisses me off because the shit that people of color in the industry have to deal with already in itself. Mm-hmm. Like, why the fuck do we get paid more? Why the fuck? Honestly,
right.
Why the fuck? Oh my God, it's fucking absurd. And personally, like, my opinion is that if your specific fetish, if what you get off on is a black man and a white girl having sex and they're playing into this sort of role thing, fuck you. I'm sorry. I'm not catering to that. I'm not shooting that shit. As a director, I fucking refuse. I will never. I will never. And that's me, and I'm just, go fuck yourself. I will shoot a scene where it is people of whatever ethnicity, and if it just so happens that one person is of color and one person is white, then cool. And if that's a thing that you are personally getting off on in your head as you're watching, that's between you and the scene. It has nothing to do with me. I'm not glorifying that shit. I'm not playing into it. Right. You can go fuck yourself if you want that shit.
And that's what I was saying. Is people, you and I we all have our personal opinions about it. Yep. And that's what we're entitled to have.
Yep.
And I feel, again, as long as people that show up on set and that's their thing. There was a guy who used to work with kink, and he was, I don't know how much you know about cuckolding as far as doing scenes. Yeah. So there's the female, there's the cuck, there's the bull. Mm-hmm. And for anybody at home that's listening or watching that doesn't know this, the cuck is the male who is kind of humiliated and put in an inferior situation and made to sit there and watch his female partner be fucked proper and fucked hard by a man who can do it rather than the little wimpy cuck. And it's a humiliation game that played, and that's very basic. I know people are like, JP, that's more than that, but that's the gist of it. Mm-hmm. And there was a bull. That was his role that he played. He was a bull, and he was a very large black man. And he got off. His thing was to sit there and use the N-word on himself. Whatever makes your dick thick. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, as long as everyone is happy with what's going on and I'm not pissing someone off, go and be merry and jerk off and have fun, and don't put it on people because that's not consensual. But no. It's, as long as it's okay and no one's getting hurt, fine. Do I want to sit there and watch it? No. Or yes, or maybe, because there's still a gangbang going on, and I don't, like I said, I could give a fuck what color anybody is. I don't give a fuck if they're purple and green. As long as everybody's consensually fucking each other, get it.
Yeah, having a good time.
Have a good time.
Yeah.
And it's up to everyone who jerks off to what they jerk off to decide how they want to do it. And as long as people are jerking off to it, everybody is going to try and make it. Yep. Whether it's the fucking incest porn thing that's going on, or whether it's interracial, or whether it's some big, hairy, mean-looking motherfucker with a lazy eye that beats the shit out of innocent, small little girls. But you see what I'm saying? If it's people are jerking off to it and there's money to be made, more power.
Yep.
And that's the way I look at it. And whether I agree with it or not doesn't matter. What matters is that people are able to make a living off of it, and people are doing it consensually. And if it plays in the stereotypes and everyone's happy, go do your thing. Yep. Go have fun.
Yep.
Because believe me, there is some weird shit out there, and I kind of joke, you know how fucked up it's got to be for me to call it weird because of what I do for a living. Like, if I'm calling it weird, it's fun. But again, it's as long as it's consensual, and consensual meaning that everyone there is happy, everyone there is of age that can consent, and only humans can consent. Just remember that
Yep.
Only humans.
Yep.
Take that however you want it. So, as long as those are the things that are going on, do the thing, and I don't care. And that's what I think it really comes down to.
Yeah.
Because that's what it needs to be, and there's a market for it. And like I said, if there's a market for Big JP to go beating up on poor little Kristen Scott, and fuck it, as long as we're happy. And I mean, and you've seen it, we just talked about it. We'll defend it to the death. That fuck you, we're doing it, no matter how rough it looks or how scary it looks or how abusive and unconsensual it looks. We're all happy about doing it, so who are we to judge anybody else?
Exactly, yeah.
So, to switch subjects, because I know we got to get going, or you got to get going, and just, we should probably, do we need to wrap it up?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you another question, but you know what? We'll just have to do this another time.
Sure. I mean, we could do the one question.
We'll see, and then, because I want to get well, we've kind of done a lot of advice on this, but I want to get, like, if you have a final wrap-up of advice.
Yeah.
How was it shooting Teenage Lesbian?
That was amazing. That
was incredible. We go. For anybody that's only listening, you should see the smile that just showed up on her face.
It was really powerful. I mean, it's been produced as a safe for work, mainstream film, and it's been submitted to a bunch of film festivals too. We already won some awards, which was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's also a not safe for work porno, and it takes the perspective of a teenage girl who's trying to figure out who she is as a person, while she's also trying to understand her sexuality in the 90s, which is, one of the last decades where it was really fucking hard. I mean, it's still hard to be gay, but I mean, everybody's facing all different kinds of shit. But in the 90s, it was like acceptable to openly bully and treat people like shit in that community. Right. So, there wasn't enough social backing to be like, okay, that's not fucking okay.
Or even social awareness.
Yes,
to be
there
like,
you go.
Hey, this isn't the right thing to do to people.
No. So with that being said, it's a very emotional story about the director's coming of age story, Bree Mills, and I play Sam, which is kind of Bree's character, right? Mm-hmm. I saw a clip where people are probably like, damn it, why didn't he ask these questions earlier? Fuck you guys. Just playing, I love you. I saw some of the trailer, and there's an amazing cast. Like with our friend that we were talking about earlier today, Wolf Hudson's in it. I think Alina's in it. There's a lot of it. Is Tommy in it also? Was Tommy in that one? Yes, Tommy was my dad.
Okay. You dirty motherfucker.
He's been my dad in many different things, but this is different.
Tommy Pistol, I want you to be my dad, except I'm older than you. We should talk, Tommy. He's next. I'm getting this list because I'm not just doing girls. Much as people love the girls, I'm like, I want to have it everybody on
full
here.
Full spectrum, yeah. So,
but anyway, I saw some of the parts, different things in the trailer, and it looked super good. It was beautifully shot. But everything that I think Bree shoots that comes out of there it's done well. But it's also it's the difference between having a camcorder and having a $20,000 camera.
Yes.
And having a crew that can fucking run it.
Yes.
But there was parts that I saw where there was this breakdown to where you really got emotional, and I've seen you because I put you through those emotional situations. So it seemed really genuine. Was that you just digging down and finding a place to kind of do that? Where'd that come? Not where, but how was that doing that?
I mean, there's a few different scenes where I break down and cry. So, I mean, I'll go through all of them. There's the first opening scene where I get thrown into a fucking dumpster.
Oh yeah,
my ass beat. There's another scene where this girl that I really like, who I think I'm having a relationship with, is really homophobic and really afraid of what's happening, and tells me to fuck off, basically, even though I thought that was a thing that was happening. And,
right.
I break down there, and then there's this moment where I'm sitting on my front porch, and I mean, that's where the full breakdown happens there.
Right.
And I'm just sobbing, and yeah, it was really emotional. It was really, really emotional just to play a character. I mean, like I said, I haven't experienced what Sam, the character, has experienced. I haven't. Even though I do identify as pansexual and once identified as a lesbian, I just couldn't. I mean, I I've never experienced that. I can only imagine what it's like. So to empathize on a level of like, wow, I could just get on the internet, hop on Tumblr or whatever and be like, so this is what it is to be pansexual, or this is what, like just a whole slew of resources for me to really understand sexuality and the different ways that, you know, it's not just a black or white thing, you know, It's not one thing or the other. And, you know, Sam had no point of reference other than, you know, some people in like the punk rock, like, you know, side of things, and it wasn't necessarily what worked for her. So she's just sitting there like, it's nothing makes sense. How does this work for me? And also on top of that, to be like discriminated against left and right. Like I've barely experienced that as somebody who loves to date all different kinds of people, all different genders, all different sexual identities. I don't fucking care. I love all kinds of people. Right. So to try and put myself in the shoes of Sam and experience that, like, that was really powerful, and I'm really grateful for the experience, and I think it will pull on a lot of people's heartstrings. So if y'all haven't seen it, you really should. If you want a good cry, it's good. Which is funny because people don't usually turn to porn to cry. But
right. I think that I feel like we're going in that direction. I feel like, you know, with the couple of movies that I've made, and, you know, and Brie, I feel like has picked up on it too, to where there's a lot of like, let's make a movie and then we'll throw some porn in there. Mm-hmm. But let's do real acting. Let's get emotional. Let's fuck with whether it's fear or fright or whatever, but let's play in people's emotions. Yeah, let's get in people's heads. Oh, yeah. And then make it even more fucked up, because then I'm gonna show you porn. Now that you're all fucked up in the head, now I'm gonna get you excited and you're gonna jerk off to it.
Yeah, and you're gonna be conflicted, but also very excited.
I had several comments on my movie that they were doing. They're like, I felt really uncomfortable about the fact that I jerked off to your movie. And they were like, and that's why I think that you'd made a good, and I feel like it's the same way that I feel like, and I don't know Brie, I've never met her. I've only seen, it's her or them?
Her.
Her, okay.
That's very respectful of you to ask.
I don't know.
No, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's, from what I've seen, I feel like it's the same thing. And I feel like if she were to get something that's like, I was so uncomfortable after jerking off to watching that movie, I feel like that's one of the biggest compliments, because as a filmmaker and a writer, that's what I was going for. Because if you can make someone feel the emotion, if you can make someone cry, if you can make someone fuck and jump, or you can make them smile, if you can create any real like expression. So if they can go through any of that, then you're doing something right. If you can scare them, if you can make them cry, if you can make them smile, if you can make them jerk off, those are the things. So I mean, and that's what I think all of us strive for as being directors. Yes,
we just want to make people feel something, and, you know, I don't know, just, I mean, that's really it. Feel something, whether it's your dick hard or...
Well, it's like the Joker movie. I haven't seen it yet. We talked about this, and I'm not going to go because I know we got to wrap this up. Yeah. But so many people were like, they're triggered, and they were this, and they were that. And it's like, you know what? Then the writer or the filmmaker and Joaquin and all of the people that were involved in that movie did something really well. Yes. Because if you can create that much fucking turmoil that quickly, and I have heard like in the first 20 minutes most people were done. They couldn't get through the first 20, which I think is phenomenal. I've got to see it, but I need to be like, I need to take the time and be in there, and I need somebody to watch the kid. Yeah. Hey wifey, maybe go hang out with your friends. Like I need to go by myself and get immersed, because it sounds like it's phenomenal.
It made me want to cry. I don't remember if I actually cried or not, but like empathy again. Yeah. Empathy. It's just being able to sit there and experience that, and you know, create that for your audience is powerful, and we should be using that, you know.
Invoke emotion.
Yeah, you should be using that to do good, so.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up. I hate it, especially sitting across from you, because you are a beautiful woman that I love to stare at. Advice, if you could give any advice, and you can make it quick, and we've had money, people's time, like all these different things that we've talked about so much. If there's anything that you want to be like, bam, this is what I want to give to someone coming in the industry, male or female, doesn't matter. Yeah. What would you give? What would you tell them?
I would say, do not compromise your own well-being for anything, for anyone. Don't. No matter what, at the end of the day, you need to be happy, and you need to be safe and comfortable, and sometimes it's hard to speak up because you feel like you're in a compromised situation, or you know, you want to take the job, or you want to, I don't know, there could be so many different things, but no matter what, if you don't lose yourself in this business, it could be such a beautiful fucking ride. But the most important part is to just take care of yourself.
Yep.
Most important part. And on that note, Pineapple Support is a great resource for performers.
It is. I've linked to him. I've linked to him before. I'll link to him again. Whoever's watching, if you're on the YouTube thing.
Pineapple Support.
Yeah, they're super awesome. I was gonna ask about that earlier, but we went
all over the place. So.
But yeah, so we'll link to that in the bottom, and is the selfless plugin is gonna happen really quick. If you guys like this shit, fucking subscribe. God damn it,
yes.
Make this happen.
Yes.
Be happy, rate it, and love it, and do whatever the fuck you do. Just do it so we can, because I want to keep doing this, and I think this is a good thing for all of us.
And there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Much. Yeah.
I'm gonna be like the fucking Geraldo Rivera, but not as he got older and did weird shit in the mirror. But I'm gonna go search it. But anyway, the whole point is like, yeah, I'll link to Pineapple Support again. I've done it at least once, if not twice, because it's a super, super amazing thing that we have in this industry. And with that, I will say thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is amazing. I hope to come back again.
I do too. I think it's gonna be good. All right, let's get you out of here.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.
All right.